Okay, so in this video, I wanted to take a moment to demonstrate the concept behind the spatial filter. This is a way in which we can remove the artifacts that are quite noticeable in the expanded beam. These are artifacts that would otherwise ruin or diminish the quality of the resulting hologram. And you'll see several mentions of this concept. Again, the concept of spatial filtering in the book Practical Holography. And at its core, the spatial filter is really just a pinhole. It's a way in which we try to focus light through this very small pinhole. In this case, I'm showing a 15 micrometer pinhole. And the idea behind it is that as the light is brought to the focus and centered at this pinhole, then we are able to remove the higher order, in other words, the noise inherent in the laser beam. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of walk through the process of setting up the spatial filter and aligning the beam, and finally resulting in a cleaned up beam that can be expanded and used to create the hologram. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so you can see a very faint dot projected onto the index card here. Now notice that as I rotate the tool clockwise, the dot moves downward. And then as I rotate the tool counterclockwise, the dot moves upward. Now, as I move the lens forward, now we start to lose the dot here for just a moment, and then it comes back faintly. Again, it's a very faint dot here at this point because we're not quite centered on the pinhole. So let's go ahead and make an adjustment. Again, it's very faint, so I want to see if I can try to make it brighter. So that's made it a little bit brighter, and then an adjustment over here as well. So this also makes it brighter. And I'm going to continue to move the lens forward. Now I've lost it, so let's see if I can make an adjustment here. And try to adjust it over here as well. There we go. Now I've recovered the beam here, and continue to try to move the lens forward. So now it's gone faint again. Now notice that as I rotate the tool clockwise, that it moved upward. So this means that we are now past the point of focus as the directions have been reversed. So what I want to do now is see if I can adjust it and make it brighter at this point beyond on the other side of the focus. So I've established a little bit of centering on this side of the focus, and again just trying to get it brighter. So that's a nice improvement there. And once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and move it back again to try to get it back in focus a bit more. And we know that we are in focus, or at least close to it, since it is getting quite sensitive to the centering at the pinhole. So I'm going to try to recover it once again, making these adjustments. And there we go. I've reestablished it. And so notice that, again, as I make these adjustments, as I rotate this one clockwise, it is moving downward once again. So that means I'm behind the focus point once again. So let's go ahead and move it forward, move the lens forward a bit more. So at this point, I'm going to start making these fine adjustments. I'm going to try to tighten the screws on the assembly, and then I'll be using the Z-axis knob adjustment to center at focus. So I'll do this with the video sped up a bit because it took me about 8 minutes to complete the fine adjustment. Okay, so this is the result after about 10 minutes total time of making these adjustments. Now, the first time that I did this, it took me an hour, but I've since had some practice and I'm able to do it in about 10 minutes. So again, this is the result, and I have to say the spatial filter definitely cleans up the beam and removes all of those artifacts. So it's a very nice improvement. So what I'm going to do now is show a comparison with and without spatial filter on the hologram plate. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, so this is without the spatial filter. As you can see, there are a number of artifacts being projected onto the index card, and these will be visible on the final hologram. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, so this is the corresponding hologram, and as you can see, the artifacts did make an appearance on this result. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the result with spatial filtering to see what kind of improvement we can achieve on the final hologram. So with the spatial filter, we no longer see any artifacts being projected onto the index card. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the corresponding hologram. So this is the resulting hologram. Now, aside from the small bubbles here and there, which are caused by dust on the plate, which I will fix later on, the resulting hologram looks pretty clean and certainly nicer looking with the spatial filter. So that's about it for this video. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.